Well, we have surpassed the storms and we are in the sunshine once again. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome today. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe that we shall overcome someday. We trust life is for us. We trust life is for us. We trust life is for us today. Oh, deep in our hearts, we do believe that we shall overcome someday. We shall heal the earth. We shall heal the earth. We shall heal the earth today. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe that we shall overcome today. Love shall lead the way. Love shall lead the way. Love shall lead the way today. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe that we shall overcome someday. Everybody, we shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome today. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe that we shall overcome today. Deep in my heart, I do believe that we shall overcome today. This week I was working on a piece to write a solo song, and a song did not want to be written. A spoken word piece, a poem wanted to be written, and I am here to present that to you. This is called Oneness. You are an individual. You have gifts and quirks and callings, and I am too. An individual stew with many gifts, as rare as this all-in time we are in. Beloved, we can't begin. to be our true selves dawning till we lose our biases, the fears now stalling, for we know, deep down, that we are built for the oneness we speak now, built for the oneness we dream out loud, and this is our calling. This is us, proudly dreaming all of our dreams out loud. I am. I claim it. This is our speech. I'll name it. You are too. We're all the same inside, different in our ways, our skin, our quirks, our imagining, but all one God spark singing. And isn't that a fine thing? Isn't that the way life is? Isn't love the truth I sing, a truth we bring into every blessed ring? To celebrate you, celebrate me as one connected being. Breathe. Celebrate you in all your glory, how you became a newsworthy story. You overcame hardship. You rose up, began learning hard, leaning hard into fairness. And I stand where you stand, willing now to be seen, to be still, to listen, and speak for our vision, for our loved ones, our mission. Yes, I am celebrating inner freedom now. Yes, you and I are bound to live this kingdom. Come. We are oneness now manifest, oneness made jubilant, oneness and all are welcome oneness with love as our true home. I stand for this, for every human to know this bliss. I stand where you stand, black, brown, white, red, bone to bone, with love as our true and only lasting home. Yeah, I felt like I was back in the 50s in South Philadelphia at the little beat poet place. Why are you here? You kneel and call a name. But will you answer, my dear, when that voice starts speaking in your ear? What you intend is what you find carries you farther than any other design. We have the power of thought right here, gathered to bridge this hill with all others, spanning all lovers, oh God of life, of faith in us. Will I have faith in right time, right place? We are bathed in grace. We are bathed in grace. Right time, right place. We are bathed in grace. We are bathed in grace. So why are you here? To show yourself a spirit, to hold your end up, it's so clear. When that voice starts speaking in your ear, that what you intend, well, that's what you'll find carries you farther than any other design. We have the power of thoughts right here, gathered to bridge this hill with all others, spanning all lovers. thank you, beloveds. Now I would like to return the microphone to Peggy.
Good morning, Center for Spiritual Living, Delaware. Welcome to everyone. For those who don't know me, I am Peggy Freimwehr, your platform practitioner for the service today. At this time, would you close your eyes, turn within, and join me in prayer? God is all there is. God is the ultimate reality, the one life, the one source energy, the one unified field of pure potentiality and possibility. God is unconditional love, oneness, perfect peace, unity, and divine order. And as God is all of these things, each one of us is all of these things. Each one of us is unconditional love, oneness, perfect peace, unity, and divine order. We are each all of these God qualities and more, because each of us has all of the God qualities within us, just waiting to burst forth. God is expressing as each one of us in every moment of our lives here on earth. I'm grateful for each one of us at CSL Delaware who fully embraces ourselves as a spiritual community that celebrates diversity, fosters inclusion, champions inner work, and creates space for brave, vulnerable conversations. I am grateful for the words of John Lewis saying, I urge you to answer the highest calling of your heart and stand up for what you truly believe. In my life, I have done all I can to demonstrate that the way of peace, the way of love and nonviolence is the more excellent way. Now it is your turn to let freedom ring. When historians pick up their pens to write the story of the 21st century, let them say that it was your generation who laid down the heavy burdens of hate at last, and that peace finally triumphed over violence, aggression, and war. And so I say to you, walk with the wind, brothers and sisters, and let the spirit of peace and the power of everlasting love be your guide. And so I give thanks today to each and every one of us who heard the call to be at this service, and to all who are here in spirit. Each one of us is the backbone of what makes the Center of Spiritual Living Delaware. I also give thanks for each and every one of us who gives time and service to all the activities that keep CSL running. I give thanks to Reverend Kathleen for her leadership and her preparation for this service. I give thanks to all who make the Center for Spiritual Living one. I give thanks for this truth and for all the things that make up our CSL Delaware service today, and for all the love and connection that brings all of us together to manifest this joyful Zoom service today. And so it is. And now I'd like to introduce our own Reverend Kathleen Johnson, our spiritual director of CSL Delaware.
Good morning, my friends. So good to see you today. And just delighted that we are together and together, particularly in these times where connection with one another may even be more meaningful than it was before. And also knowing that we are here as a community and as a true force for good, a power for good. I have to say that as I've been reflecting on our community, I have just felt this incredible upwelling of joy and love for all of you, and the deep inner work and also the work that we are doing in the world together. It's so needed right now. So let's help ourselves be as receptive as possible. We know the power of the word. So just open your arms and repeat after me. I open my heart to the universe.
I open my heart to the universe.
Accepting love and healing.
Accepting love and healing.
And I open my mind to the universe.
I open my mind to the universe.
Accepting wisdom and understanding.
Accepting wisdom and understanding.
Let's pull that into our hearts, accept it, and together say, yes! And so it is. Lovely. So now I would like to introduce to you Dwayne.
Good morning, CSL Delaware. So glad to serve you today. And I'm waiting for the video to go up.
I just wanted to show the Reverend working to clean up CC Arts as after that big storm that we had come through. He did a lot of work to make that place clean.
Go ahead.
We, the Center for Spiritual Living Delaware, are a welcoming, vibrant, inclusive spiritual community rooted in New Thought, ancient wisdom principles. We are here to be the presence of love and to co-create heaven on earth, a world that works for all. Last Sunday, we kicked off the virtual 21-day Racial Equity Habit Building Challenge. The challenge provides an abundance of resources to build racial equity habits and actionable ways to promote social equity and justice. It runs through August the 23rd and involves taking one small action a day, reflecting on it, and then sharing once a week in a virtual meetup following service. Our first sharing session is today at noon. All are invited to participate. Do you want to improve your health and sense of well-being? This 7-week class is for you. Licensed practitioner Marianne Ruan will be facilitating and revealing wholeness on Thursday from 6:30 p.m. until 9:30 p.m., August the 13th to September the 24th. You and other participants will study and apply the current spirit, mind, body research in the fields of medicine and quantum physics and the science of mind to the healing the body through power of mind and spirit. $45 fee for registration, and it's due by August the 11th. $145 is the balance due by September 17th. Required text, Mind Over Medicine by Dr. Lisa Rankin, and The Science of Mind by Ernest Holmes. Group prayer will now be at 5 p.m. on Wednesday, led by Marianne Ruan, practitioner. All are welcome. The Zoom link will be sent to our newsletter group list. The next Coming Together event is August the 19th. Stay tuned for a Zoom link by email. Refer to our website under the Get Involved tab or our newsletter for details on these and other events. And now I'd like to turn our program back over to Sharon.
Thank you,
Okay.
sir.
So just before we turn it over to Sharon, I just wanted to say a few things. Many of you may not have been aware of it, and some of you may have, but there was a rush of water that went through the parking lot with that storm the other night at Center for Creative Arts, and so the parking lot is actually kind of a mess right now, but we're knowing, and I would like to keep everybody to keep it in prayer, that that parking lot is completely redone because it really needs to be at this point. And also the thing though that I think is really important to know is that the building is in good shape. We had some water to mop off the floor, but other than that, it's in good shape. So thank you for your prayers. I know some of you were praying during that storm and after the storm, and just knowing that everything is unfolding. We know that all things work together for good. So let's keep that in our hearts and in our prayers. Thank you. So Sharon, now it's your turn.
Thank you. I didn't know that, so I will certainly have CC Arts in my prayers. So for this next one, we're requesting that you touch your cursor on your screen so that everybody wakes up on it, and then go up to the right-hand corner where it says Speaker View or Gallery View. And if it says, choose Gallery View. If you're not already seeing everybody, for this next piece, we'd like you to be on Gallery View so that we can have Reverend Kathleen show the movements that go with this song that we've used for years in this community. And please feel free on your end to sing along for yourself and your whoever else is in your house.
And Sharon, this is Michelle. I'm just encouraging everybody to turn on your video if you can. We don't hear it's not perfect.
We're going to do We Are the
We
Face of
love
God.
to see your face, if possible. Thank you.
There we go.
You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of love. You are the face of love. I hold you in my heart. You are my family. You are the face of love. One more. You are the face of love. I hold you in my heart. You are my family. And you are, my beloved community. I'm going to turn the microphone back over to Reverend Kathleen.
Thank you, Sharon, and thank you, community. That is always a very heartwarming song to do together and to connect and remember who we are. It's Education Sunday this Sunday, and so I want to first of all acknowledge all of the students who participated in the Essential Earnest class, and just celebrate the amazing projects that these students have. So what we've done is, because they were, we want to share them with all of you, is that you will see one per week in the newsletter. This last week, Kelly Garrity's was in there. And then also there'll be a few of the students who will be presenting their projects. And so this week, Shia Stone is going to be presenting her project. And by the way, just for those of you who don't know, Shia is going to be our teacher for the children on Zoom on 2 Sunday mornings a month while we're on Zoom. And so we are so blessed to have her in this position with her background as an art teacher and as a Montessori teacher. So anyway, we're so grateful. And so keep tuned in to the newsletter and so on, and we'll be able to tell you when we're going to start. And it'll be soon. It'll be sometime this month. So Shia,
yes.
Shia has a beautiful project to offer us. So Shia, you're up now.
All right, thank you so much. Good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure to see you. Yes, we just finished our 10 weeks of Essential Earnest, and again, another wonderful class. If you have not taken any classes, or if you haven't done it in a while, I highly recommend. Zoom is wonderful. You don't have to drive anywhere. You don't have to go anywhere. It's you can turn it off and go to bed. It's great. As always, it's been enriching and inspiring, and it also allows for that daily practice. If you kind of get out of sorts, it helps you focus. And most importantly, it's always wonderful for community. It's been great to get to know people who I didn't have an opportunity to get to know closer at other times. So it's always wonderful in that way. The Essential Earnest Homes really introduced or brought together some really key ideas about from Ernest Holmes throughout his whole history of service. And it ends with an explanation or a description of an experience he had called, it was considered a cosmic illumination experience in 1959, which is right before his passing. So our final project was to create something that represented what cosmic illumination means to me. And we had a choice to do whatever we want. This time I decided to just create a graphic and write a poem. And the graphics you'll see is I wanted to get an image of Ernest Holmes where he was kind of looking afar, like in thought. So I found a great image and I overlaid the flower of life, which is a sacred symbol. It's a divine grid that has been found throughout the whole world. It's an ancient symbol. They found it in caves in all the sides of the earth. It's also found in the sketchbooks of Leonardo da Vinci. So this is a symbol where, as the mystics question, the universe, this is a symbol that has been constantly come to them to kind of explain the grid or the form in which all of life is built upon. And in this image, if you, it might be printed somewhere else, but if you have a chance to look at the image closer, you can see that the dots within the flower of life line up so beautifully with the form of Ernest Holmes' face. And that's the secret behind this flower of a life form, is you can add any form on top of it and you can find the relationships. So I created that, and then I wrote a poem that it really comes from my experiences with this kind of connection to the universe, and it's called Cosmic Illumination. Look into the darkness with eyes that see. Allow the unfolding of everything meant to be. Illumine light, move stones from our view, enlightening the way of the guided few. Through infinite measures of space and time, for every out there is an in that is defined. In our minds and hearts, life is revealed, but not through words, it is what we feel. In the silence, the golden voices speak, untethering that which made us weak, and teaches us in the language of the divine that reaches the depths of the inner vine and traces our truth to times of antiquity, releasing and unfolding the vision within thee. We sit back and rest in contemplative repose. In an infinitesimal moment, all wisdom is exposed. In awe and wonder, our gratitude pours forth, unveiling our desire to stay the course. And that is it. Thank you. And this part just shows about the image. So thank you. Thanks, Dan, for sharing.
Thank you, Shaya. That was lovely. That was just lovely. So grateful for the heart and soul that you put into that project. Now I'd like to introduce to you our beloved Kelly, who's going to be doing the reading and the affirmation today.
Good morning, CSL Delaware. This year's theme is 2020 Spiritual Vision. Our theme for August is Inclusion in Action. This month is about fully embracing ourselves as a spiritual community that celebrates diversity, fosters inclusion, champions inner work, and creates space for brave, vulnerable conversations. And today's topic is, who are we? Ernest Holmes wrote, unity does not mean uniformity. This idea of the oneness of God is, we find ourselves immersed in a universality, each one a unique individual and different manifestation of that which itself is one, undivided, indivisible, and whole. Thomas Merton wrote, the beginning of love is the will to let those we love be perfectly themselves. The resolution not to twist them to fit our own image. If in loving them we do not love what they are, but only their potential likeness to ourselves, then we do not love them. We only love the reflection of ourselves we find in them. Let's speak and know this truth together. I love well. I see the holiness in all life. I understand that oneness is not sameness. Therefore, I celebrate our uniqueness and diversity. I advocate for inclusion. I stand for dignity and human rights of all. I love well. And now back to Reverend Kathleen.
Who are we? There is great value in getting clear about our identities, whether they're individual identities or identities of the whole or the collective, and what we're bringing to the table. Because truly valuing who we are, truly valuing who others are, is the pathway of inclusion. Can you see it? I mean, it's really clear to me. That's where it comes down to. And that last quote that Kelly just read says it so beautifully. It means valuing each other as we are, not as we hope the other person would be, but valuing each other as we are. The byproduct, the gift that comes from that is inclusion. And this month is all about inclusion in action. So who are we? Let's go back to that question. We know from our teachings and from our own deep inner work, our own deep inner contemplative natures, that we are unique individualizations of the one source. And we're incarnated in these human bodies for a period of time, and yet the essence of who we are is eternal. And as spirit beings, we inherit unlimited potentiality and possibility because we are of the one universal mind. We're interconnected with it, or everything that comes through us is sourced from that one presence. And so therefore we have within us amazing capacities and talents and gifts. And so you couple that with our life experiences and with our identities, our own ways that we show up in these human bodies, and that makes for some really amazing beings who are capable of doing amazing things. Let that sink in. That's who we are. That's our true identity, made in the likeness and image of God. That part has got to be so clear as a starting point for us as we move through life, because this is the true key to the full expression of our divinity. And at the same time, we're also very unique and so on, but we're also one. And it's kind of one of those mind-blowing paradoxes. We're also one. We're unified in one field of consciousness. And we're one in a shared planet and cosmos. And we are one, of course, in the shared source. So we're all interrelated, we're all interconnected, we often hear we're all brothers and sisters, despite who our biological mothers and fathers are, because our connection is beyond this visible world. Our invisible nature, the spirit essence of who we are, is connected with each other and with everyone and everything else. So this month, where we focus on where the rubber meets the road, putting inclusion into action, we are naturally wanting to therefore more fully embody this thing called oneness, consciousness, which and love, all-inclusive love, goes hand in hand with it. Yet, we have grown up immersed in a culture whose history is one of separation. A separation based on like a hierarchy, or an artificial dyad of superiority and inferiority in a kind of a pecking order. Bias is what it's called. And it's made up by the human mind usually for economic gain or some other type of gain, and then gets passed down through the generations. So here's the thing, and this is the great, not only the great hope, but the great joy, is that what the human mind has made up, truth can so easily dismantle. And so our own human individualization can dismantle it. And we have the spiritual tools to do this. And so it's the intention then is to dismantle the dyad of superiority, inferiority, the biases that are part of this culture in which we live. We're immersed in it, let's face it. So it's up to us then to do our part in its dismantling. And believe me, it's way more powerful. It's not just little old me doing the dismantling. It is the grand divine presence that you and I are doing this dismantling, raising the frequency and the vibration on the planet, which affects everyone because we are interconnected. And we aren't the only ones doing this work. It's not just our community. It's all of the communities and centers for spiritual living. And I know so many other light workers and other people across the planet are doing this work as well. So what happens then is when we remove the biases, we call it the story sometimes, the story, that human made up story of how things are, this whole dyad, the biases, when we remove that, what's remaining? The real, genuine, authentic self. That authentic self then shines through. So our nature, because of the kind of beings that we are, is to see as God sees. That means seeing through the eyes and with the eyes of all-inclusive love. So our journey then, I'm just going to revisit this. Our journey is 100% ultimately about elimination. Elimination of all that does not belong to our God natures. And I am so grateful that built in to each and every one of us is this evolutionary urge, this urge to grow and expand and unfold our divinity. It's in there. We can feel it at times. Sometimes it feels like we're unsettled, or we catch a vision of something greater, some greater possibility. But that's the divine urge that's built into us, and that vision that we catch is the vision that pulls us forward into greater expression. And again, it's about letting go of all the stuff that gets in the way of that in consciousness. I think Howard Thurman says this so well. And if you haven't read anything by Howard Thurman, I highly recommend it. I spent a whole month on one of his books within the past year. He says, there is something in every one of you that waits and listens for the sound of the genuine in yourself. It is the only true guide you will ever have. And if you cannot hear it, you will, all your life, spend your days on the strings that somebody else pulls. Whoa. That's powerful. So it really behooves us to tap into that genuine nature, to clear away everything that does not belong, so that we are guided from within. We are not pulled by the strings of things that happen to show up on the media or whatever else. We learn to tap in and listen within, and that's our guiding principle, which will always steer us in the right direction because it's our God nature. So let's get to work then, okay? Let's get to work at seeing ourselves more clearly. Let's get to work at the dismantling of this thing that's called learned bias. Yes, something made up by the human mind. We weren't born with it. So bias, just a little bit more about bias. Bias comes from the belief that one thing, one trait, one group, or some particular person is superior or inferior to another. There's that same dyad of superiority, inferiority. It's made up. I think it's really important that we get that. It's made up by the human mind. We know that in truth, we all have value. We all are equally valuable and amazing beings. And so it's about getting all of the other stuff that tells us otherwise out of the way. So this tendency, this thing called bias, this tendency to judge and compare, results in something that psychologists call internalized oppression. Internalized oppression. And this is what it looks like. An Alaskan Native woman who looks down on her other Native people from the village and teases them for their village accent. You know, this can happen within our own communities, not just between different cultures. Internalized oppression also is shown in this example. A man in the Philippines spending his hard-earned money to pay for treatments in a skin whitening clinic. A mother in the United Kingdom, while playing catch with her daughter, tells her, "Don't throw like a girl." a Mexican-American adolescent who is embarrassed of his parents as they struggle to talk with the teacher in their limited, broken, and accented English. Internalized oppression, it shows up not only in the way we treat others, but in the way we treat ourselves, that negative self-talk. That's internalized oppression. And it comes from that same dyad of this, this is better than this, superiority, inferiority. When we buy into these messages that we hear in our culture, we almost unconsciously begin to see certain traits, or being a member of a particular group, or even being who we are, as not desirable. This is really powerful stuff to confront, because it makes all the difference in the world when we can face it and see it for what it is and tell ourselves that this is not the truth. So internalized oppression then invisibly guides our behavior when we don't deal with it in destructive ways. It's destructive for our own self-images and well-being. It's destructive in our families. It's destructive in our cultures. And it's destructive in our communities and the world as a whole. It truly affects us all because we are all interconnected. Nobody is truly left out. Even those who think they're superior ultimately suffer from this kind of thinking. So believing that women, people of other races, LGBT folks, people with disabilities are inferior is made up. It is made up by the human mind, but it has an impact. Even though it's made up, it has an impact because it distorts our views of ourselves and others. And it leads to things like emotional abuse, substance abuse, violence, and hate crimes. So now we know the source of it all. We really get what the source of it all is. It's this dyad, or bias that we call this dyad of superiority, inferiority, which is made up by the human mind. And so now for the solution, right? It's like, okay, let's get on with the solution. We get it. Ernest Holmes put it so beautifully in the Science of Mind textbook on page 423. He said, what the world needs is spiritual conviction followed by spiritual experience. I would rather see a student of these teachings prove its principle than to have him or her repeat all the words of wisdom that have ever been uttered. It is far easier to teach the truth than it is to practice it. So practice, putting it into practice in our lives is what I'm calling for. So it's easy to say, oh yeah, I know what that is and I know what causes it. But then the next piece, which I'm really calling upon each and every one of you to engage in, is the inner practice of the dismantling of all of these biases that have been conditioned in us, and to do it with compassion, realizing we have been immersed in this. It's been in our subconscious mind since we were kids for most of us. So the practice is to watch and witness and observe the patterns of thought and the things that come out of our mouths and our behaviors that are in any way judging of ourselves and others, condemning of ourselves and others, that's based on a bias or a stereotype. And we will know that because it will not feel very good. When we have a kind of a not very good feeling within us, we're either judging ourselves or judging others, most likely. It's that dyad in action within us. And before we go any farther, I want to distinguish between bias and preference and discernment, because this is really important. Bias comes from prejudice, and it's destructive. It comes from stereotypes and from this hierarchy that I'm talking about. Preference or discernment is making a decision that is constructive. So yes, it's still important that we're able to discern and make decisions. It's part of being a human. So we're not talking about that today. We're talking about biases that are destructive. And these biases are driven by fear ultimately, because love leads the way in things like discernment. Love leads the way. That's the difference. And our biases are sometimes apparent to us, but quite often they're subconscious. They're just out of our awareness, or maybe completely out of our awareness. And that's why meditation is so important, and that's why developing a witness consciousness, which we call mindfulness, is so important. And then I'm going to recommend a really powerful tool that I find has really supported me, and that's Byron Katie's wonderful tool. And it's a great tool for dismantling bias, believe me. It's her Judge Your Neighbor worksheet. And she invites you to put all the judgments that you have about your neighbor, that means whoever you're upset with at the moment, and you can even do that on yourself, but you write it down, and then when you get it all down, you look at each and every statement and you ask yourself, is that true? Am I absolutely sure that that's true? Well, if I believe that's true, how am I living my life? What does my life look like, feel like, sound like? And I'd like to add to that, what is the impact I'm having on other people by believing that truth, believing that thought? And she said, any thought that gives you stress or is uncomfortable is not the truth. That's a great way to test to see if something's the truth or not. And then who would I be without this thought? If I were unburdened by this thought, who would I be? And so that's where the uncovering of the genuine, authentic, divine nature takes place, as we release those judging thoughts. And we can release them just simply by inquiry, by asking these questions. That's what's so powerful about this tool. So even if the rest of humanity has not come aboard yet on all-inclusive love, on their own work of dismantling that dyad of superiority and inferiority, if you do this work, you've freed yourself to be all you can be. You've freed yourself from the bias of others. So I'd like to illustrate it. This is a beautiful, beautiful story to illustrate how someone can free themselves from the biases of others. And I'm sure you've thought of many, many examples. An important speaker addressed the student body of a small college in South Carolina. The auditorium was filled with students excited about the opportunity to hear from a person of her stature speak. After the governor gave the introduction, the speaker moved to the microphone, looked at the audience from left to right, and began. I was born to a mother who was deaf and could not speak. I do not know who my father was, and I still don't. The first job I ever had was in a cotton field. The audience was spellbound, and she continued. Nothing has to remain the way it is if it's not the way that we want it to be. She repeated it. Nothing has to remain the way it is if that's not the way we want it to be. She's standing in her power, isn't she? And she goes on to say, it isn't luck, and it isn't circumstances. And it isn't being born a certain way that causes a person's future to become what it becomes. And softly she repeated, Nothing has to remain the way that it is if that's not the way we want it to be. She goes on to say, all we have to do is to change a situation that brings unhappiness and dissatisfaction is to answer this question. How do I want this situation to be? In other words, what is my vision, right? And then she says, then we must commit totally to personal actions that carry us there. Personal actions that carry us there. That's the inner work and moving into action that is being called for. A smile goes across her face and she says, my name is A.Z. Taylor Morton. I stand before you as the Treasurer of the United States of America. And for those of you who don't know who this is, A.Z. Taylor Morton served as the Treasurer of the United States during the Carter administration from September 12, 1977 through January 20th, 1981. And she remains, as far as I know, at least this is the reference that I got, she remains the only African American to hold that office. Her signature was printed on the U.S. currency during her tenure. Such a prime example of somebody who knows who she is and who moves beyond the stereotypes, beyond the biases, and becomes what she is inspired to become. If one person can do it, we can all do it. Yes? Yes. So we each can do our part in dismantling this dyad of superiority and inferiority. The systems of racial inequality and other forms of inequality that we see in the structures of our society are coming to the surface, have come to the surface for us to heal. We can see it, there it is, and now we do the inner work. And the 21-day Racial Equity Challenge, this great work that our Social Justice Initiative Ministry is doing and encouraging us to participate in, is designed to do just that. As we educate ourselves about bias and its impact, and that education is a really important part. That's what the 21-day thing is all about, the 21-day process. It's an educational process so that we can look at the way things are, the condition. We do this when we get ready for doing a spiritual mind treatment. So we can do the inner work to dismantle the structures within us, within our culture. When we're doing our inner work, we're doing it for everyone, so that we can be part of the solution. So you can still join us. If you haven't started, that's okay. Show up today at 12 and be a part of the conversation. And I understand that Christy Gonzalez is going to be leading us, and that she is a very fine facilitator. I got word directly from Jen on that, and Virgie. So here's the thing that I want to share with you, particularly those of you who are fairly new to our community, is we have spent 10 years really building a certain atmosphere in our community. We've been focusing, you can see it in our intention statement we say every week, but we also have a larger vision statement. And what we've created is a culture or an atmosphere of love. An atmosphere in which we can be mutually supportive in doing things like this work of dismantling biases. And so I know together we can do this. And it's, in some ways, it's really easier in a group than it is on our own, because we learn from each other. when we share our wisdom with each other, we learn so much. So here's the thing. If you are committed to moving from a world where the dyad of superiority, inferiority silently runs things in the world, to a paradigm of all-inclusive love where all-inclusive love leads, then please type yes in the chat box. Do that now. Type yes in the chat box that you are committed to moving from a world that is run by this dyad of superiority to one that is led by all-inclusive love, oneness consciousness. Type yes. Thank you. So we've made our verbal commitment. So I'd like to leave you with this final story. And this is the story that really shows to me how powerful an impact we have on other people, particularly adults have on children. There once was a teacher who had a room full of new students. Their names were numbers such as 145, 155, 143, 141. She assumed the numbers were their IQs, and she was so excited because she had now had a room full of geniuses. So she treated them like geniuses throughout the year. She gave them challenging work, lots of praise and encouragement. And at the end of the year, the principal came into her room and asked how she did it, because they all had A's and they all did so well. She said, well, it's easy when you have a room full of smart kids who are geniuses. The principal says, geniuses? Those children were the most challenged kids that we had in the school. And the teacher replies, but their IQs were by their names. I don't understand. And he says, IQs? Those were their locker numbers. So whether that story is true or not, we do know that our attitudes about others make a difference. And so the truth is that we are all geniuses. We are patterned after the grand genius of the universe, which is God. We're made in the likeness and image of that genius. So let's bravely explore our identities in all their complexity and splendor. Let's also kindly and boldly explore our subconscious biases that we know stand in the way of our authentic, genuine selves and a world that works for all. The work of coming to know and love the self, and the work of coming to be able to actually see people and love them for who they are, is an act of the divine. It is the work of seeing, knowing, and loving God everywhere, in everyone, and that includes ourselves. It is an act of being awake to the truth that the soul of the universe is our soul, that the genius of the universe is our genius. And let us remember the story of A.Z. Taylor Morton, who overcame all odds and became the treasurer of the United States. Because we all have that within us. And also let us remember our impact on others with the story of the teacher who treated her students like geniuses. Let us together do amazing things. And so I'd like you to repeat after me this beautiful affirmation, just to really anchor it into our consciousness. I stand proud of who I am.
I stand proud of who I am.
I adore myself.
I adore myself.
And I give myself love freely.
And I give myself love freely.
I bravely heal my biases.
I bravely heal my biases.
And embrace love.
And embrace love.
For all human beings.
For all human beings.
And all of life.
And all of life.
And yes! And
yes!
So it is.
And so it is.
Thank you, everybody. Okay, now I'd like to introduce to you one more time, bring her back, our beloved songstress, Sharon.
Yay! What a beautiful talk. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Amazing, amazing. You will do amazing things. Amazing, amazing. You will do amazing things. You will do amazing things with the choice each new day brings, and with every step you take. Bless the progress that you make. The reason you live is there in every gift you give. Love your life, love your dreams. You will do amazing things. Amazing, amazing. You will do amazing things. Amazing, amazing. You will do amazing things. Oh, the places you will go and the people you will know. Don't worry when or where or how. You don't need to know that now. You're on the right track. No need to look ahead or back. Just enjoy what this day brings. You will do amazing things. You don't have to work it out. Just stay in the here and now. Let your mind rest for a little while. Sometimes deepest answers come when you're out there having fun. So close your eyes, take a breath, and smile. Amazing, amazing. You will do amazing things. Everybody. Amazing, amazing. You will do amazing things. Amazing, amazing. You will do amazing things. Amazing. You're amazing. You will do amazing things. You are amazing. Thank you. I will return the mic to our beloved Reverend Kathleen.
Okay, so next is Dwayne, who's going to be doing some concluding announcements.
Dwayne, you need to unmute yourself.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, but we can't see you.
Oh, okay. Wait. Oh,
Down the bottom left, Dwayne, are you able to click the video? Dwayne, can you still hear us? I think we may have lost Dwayne. Do you want me to go ahead and do the final announcements?
Go ahead, Michelle.
Here, I'm just gonna come up here real quick. We lost Dwayne for a moment there, so I'm just gonna jump in here. So for any spiritual guidance and prayer or congregant care, please speak with Reverend Linda Patton and visit our licensed professional practitioner page, jeez, on our website or newsletter for practitioner phone numbers for support from any of our practitioners. We deeply appreciate your donations to CSLDE to continue to support us through all of these interesting times. We also do have a benevolent fund to which you can make your donations. Please just always mark that accordingly in any check you send or through PayPal to let us know if that's where you want it to go. And the Board of Trustees, when it comes to the Benevolent Fund, will make recommendations on how the funds are used. So I think we'll just wrap up there, and I'm going to actually send it back over to Sharon to do our final song, which looks like a fun one.
Thank you, Michelle. Everybody sing along. You might know this one. I can see clearly now the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. Gone all the dark clouds that had me blind. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. Yes, I can make it now, the pain is gone. All of the bad feelings have disappeared. Here is that rainbow I've been praying for. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. Bright, bright, sunshiny day. Look all around, there's nothing but blue skies. Look straight ahead, nothing but blue skies. I can see clearly now the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. Here is that rainbow I've been praying for. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. Bright, bright, sunshiny day. Everybody, it's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. Yay! Okay, now I turn it over to Reverend Kathleen.
Powerful. You turned it over to me, even if Dwayne wanted to be in there. Okay, my friends. So if you want prayer with Peggy after service, please write prayer in the chat box, and Michelle will make sure and put you in a breakout room with Peggy when our service is over. Also, again, just a reminder for all the Spark leaders and all of those who are part of the 21-day Racial Equity Challenge. We're asking you to get something to eat for yourself, bring it to the computer so we can dine together before our meeting starts and fellowship with each other. And the meeting will start right at 12 noon, again led by Christy Gonzalez. I'm really looking forward to that. And so, my friends, please repeat after me. Perfect God within me.
Perfect God within me.
Perfect life within me, which is God.
Perfect life within me, which is God.
Come forth into expression through me.
Come forth into expression through me.
As that which I am.
As that which I am.
Lead me ever on the path of all-inclusive love.
Lead me ever on the path of all-inclusive love.
And cause me to see.
And cause me to see.
The infinite good.
The infinite good.
Let's breathe, everybody. Take that in and accept it fully with a powerful yes, and so it is.